All right, I think we've started. Hey everybody, my name is Wendy Literal. I am a website designer, a UI UX designer, and today I'm going to be showing you how to use Photoshop for simple things, for like Instagram, for YouTube thumbnails, that kind of thing. So I thought I would just kind of walk you through it. You know, if you're brand new to Photoshop, if you're a Photoshop beginner, this is a really good, very quick tutorial. And I'm going to kind of give you some like things to keep in mind and just kind of guide you through it. So let me go ahead and share my screen and I'll walk you through it. All right, so you should in theory be seeing my screen, although my face has disappeared. Yeah, maybe I can put it, hey, there you go. Look at that, fancy. Someday I'll learn how to use Zoom in the 2020s in this time that we're in. You think I'd be an expert by now. All right, so the first thing we're gonna do is that I created a template here, and I would suggest you all do the same, and I'll walk you through how to create a template like this, but I wanted to start out with something so I could kind of give you like a footing. So what you want to do here is I actually went through and created a text layer that actually has all like the standard things that I typically create, right? So like this is the pixel width and the pixel height of a YouTube thumbnail, same for posts and same for Instagram stories. The posts are Instagram posts, of course. And those are the only ones that I really tend to create in Photoshop that's not like some other kind of graphic design thing, right? But these are the ones I typically create. And I would say that a lot of you, if you're on this video, that's probably what you're trying to do too. So I don't know if you want to pause this and like write these dimensions down, but I find it very helpful to have the text, like a text layer in my document that I can just hide. Like I can just go over here and hit this I, and that will hide that layer. And it doesn't go out to like what I finally do, but it lets me just have this handy. So every time I open up this template, I'm always going to know what I'm doing, because what I do is I create one, like I'll create like the YouTube thumbnail, and then I'll resize this by going up to image and then going down to canvas size. Oh, it's showing on the wrong screen. I got multiple monitors. The canvas size, and then I can go over here, go to pixels, and I could say, so this one's set up for a post right now, but let's say I wanted to set it up for Instagram stories. My width is 1080, but my height is 1920. So I'll change that, and you'll see it makes it taller. And let me go ahead and zoom out by holding down the Alt key and scrolling backwards. And that actually does that. You can also do Control minus. Oh, let me pause real quick. One of the things that I will highly suggest if you are truly going to learn Photoshop is to go Google a cheat sheet for keyboard shortcuts for Photoshop. And the reason I say that is that I know it's like a learning curve. It's something that you kind of got to learn and remember. But the second that you start using them, your Photoshop work will go so much faster. It's one of those things where it's like, it's a learning curve worth learning, you know? So I highly, highly recommend just kind of biting the bullet on that one and learning your keyboard shortcuts. But if you hold down Alt and you use your scroll wheel, you can zoom in really fast, you can zoom out really fast, or you can just do the Control Alt. And if you do Control 0, it'll center everything to fit to your screen. So it's one of those things where, again, you learn it, it's going to make things a lot faster. But you see how we change the canvas size, and that will help us change things out as we go forward. For right now, I'm going to go ahead and do it and go back to the post size, which is Control Z. And it takes me back to my post size. And this is where I'm going to start from. But I'm going to show you how to create a new one. So let's see. I'm not going to back all the way out. But when you come to your first screen, you're going to see like this create new on the left when you first open up Photoshop. You're going to select that. I'm not going to show that right now because I've got like client work that shows up in like that preview thing. And I don't want to show their stuff. So otherwise you can go to file and you can go to new, and then you will see something like this, right? And over here, you can actually set those dimensions. So let's say I want to make a YouTube thumbnail. I would go over to width. I'm already on pixels. So I can go to width and go to 1280 and then 720 for the height. If I can select it. All right, there we go. For resolution, 72 is like the typical web resolution. So you don't have to worry about that. You can go higher. Don't get me wrong. Like we've got Retina screens now, like we've had them for a while. Like it is nicer to have more resolution packed into an image, but the end goal of a website is to have things load really quickly. So if you're doing it for your website, I would keep things on the lower resolution. If you're doing something for Instagram posts or YouTube or anything you're going to upload to like a third-party service like that, go ahead and save it out at a higher resolution, because what happens is that when you upload it, they compress it anyway. So even if you upload something that's a better quality, like Facebook, YouTube, they're all going to compress it on their end. So you're going to lose some of that image information anyway. So if otherwise, you can just stick with 72. Any of these settings are fine. Don't overthink it. It's okay. Hit create. It's going to open up the new one here. So one of the things I really want to show you was how to drag your own images in. So if you're trying to create a social media post or a YouTube thumbnail, you probably have other photos that you want to bring in. So again, because the client thing, I'm not going to show you the actual window, but you can just imagine that I'm clicking on an icon in my windows here, and I'm dragging it over. I'm just dragging to the desktop, and it's going to dump it on the screen, and it's going to do it as a new layer. This is a larger image. Probably should start with something smaller, but there you go. See, there it goes. And if I double click it, you see those little transform boxes that were around it. Those disappear when you double click it. And you'll see on the right side here, it's created a new smart layer. And what it is that these smart layers, what they do is it kind of preserves, it doesn't kind of, it does preserve the photo in its original state, so that if you ever have to like go back, make changes to this or edit it or do something to it, you still can go back to the original. You can always go back to the original. And I'm not going to get into that right now, but that's what that is. So if you see this weird icon, just know that that's what it is. It's just kind of like preserving the original content for this. So if I go through here and I, make her blouse red, or I change the background to green or something like that, the original is always going to be blue. That's all you need to know. All right. So from here, we are going to, let's see here. I want to make sure I got my notes correct. Always helps to have the notes on the screen. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to review the tools in Photoshop real quick, because this is going to be a very short tutorial. And then also show you how to bring in your photos. I just showed you that. You can also, on photos, you can go up to File, and you can go down to, it isn't here, right? Yeah, Place Embedded or Place Linked. I would recommend for beginners, if you're going to do it this way, to do Place Embedded. What the difference is that one is you literally link to a file on your computer. And then the other one is that you make a copy of that file and you put that inside Photoshop. So we can say Place Embedded, and ooh, don't want to show that. All right, let's see here. I will pick a dog surfing photo and then bring that in. And that places, it's the same thing as what we just did by just dragging it to, when you drag something from your computer to Photoshop, it's doing the same thing as if you were embedding it. All right, so let's go ahead and jump to the next one here. Is we're going to walk through the tools. Now, Photoshop, it has this thing called the canvas, the artboard right here in the middle. That's what this white part is. And then on the left, you have your toolbar. So these are the most important things you got to remember. On the left, you have your move tool, your select tool, and then a different kind of select tool called the lasso tool. And then we're going to skip over a couple of these, which are more advanced. And we're going to go to the eyedropper tool. That again, just lets you select a picture. And one thing that Photoshop came out that I think is awesome for beginners, when you hover over any of these icons, it gives you like a little mini visual tutorial of what the thing does. So you can see in this picture, this movie, it's hovering over the icons, hovering over the blue, and then it's hovering over the orange, and it's changing the foreground color. This down here is your foreground color, and this is your background color. So if I were to select this, I select the yellow surfboard, my foreground color, which is like the active color, is going to be yellow. And if I hold down Alt and I select blue, my background color is now going to be blue. And the difference between these two is that if you're ever like paintbrushing or using a pencil tool or anything like that, that's going to be your foreground color. The background color comes up in other scenarios that are, we won't get into, but that's what those are for. And if you ever need to toggle them, keyboard again, hit X, and it'll bring the background to the foreground. Hit X again, it'll go back. If you select D, it goes back to the original colors of black and white. So that's the eyedropper tool. It's super handy when you need to like maybe put some text on the screen and you need to pull the color out of the photo. That's an easy way to get to that actual color. All right, so next up we have the brush tool. So I'm going to do a quick little side note here. So you notice that right now I've got the line where I can't draw with my brush tool. It's because I'm on a smart layer. So what I want to do is I want to go down here. I want to move my face. I want to go down here to the add new layer, and it's going to put a layer on top here. Now you'll see that my brush tool is active. If you hold down the bracket keys on your keyboard, you can make it smaller or you can make it much larger, right? And then there's me drawing with my brush tool. Right? It's like we're putting a sun in it, right? Let's use the eyedropper tool, hit B to go back to the brush tool, And then now we've got a yellow sun, right? How cool is that? But up here in the top left, you can actually go through, and Photoshop comes with a ton of brushes that you can use if you want to, but like you can actually go out and just Google like specific specific brushes. And I'm gonna go create a new layer, and I'm gonna draw with this one. I'm gonna make it really big because you can do some cool techniques. Oops, it's not working here. I don't have the right thing selected. One moment, please. Hold, please. Technical difficulties. What's wrong? Two. No, not on my live stream. Don't do this. No, did I break Photoshop? Wouldn't that be apropos? There we go. All right. So my brush was too big, so it wasn't recognizing me wanting to go up. So I just shrunk the brush and I could go back up. I don't know why that's not working. Let's pick a different one. My point is that you can go through and you can get some really fun brushes, right? That is really not working. Let's try a new layer. Maybe I goofed something. It's working. Let's pick a completely different thing. Let's go back to your standard brush. Why isn't this working? Do I have something selected? Oh, I'm not on the brush tool anymore. That's why. Somehow I got myself onto the erase tool. So I was erasing. Oh, that's embarrassing. I was erasing a blank screen. That's why it wasn't working. Kudos, Wendy. Good job. All right. Well, anyway, back on the brush tool, which is this tool right here with the B. You hit a B on the keyboard. Let's go back to that other one because that one would look pretty fun. All right. I'm going to make this really large. We're going to try this again. You can select. I did it again. How did I do it again? Oh, you know what? I bet that brush is specifically mapped to, all right, so I'm choosing a brush that's only works for an eraser tool. That's what's going on. Man, of all the things to happen. Okay. All right. Well, anyway, you can see what's happened. I can choose really fun brushes and then like change what I choose. So if I can go over here, I can download like really unusual brushes too. Those are kind of fun. And you can choose all different kinds of shapes and things. You can get ones that have like page tears, you know, all kinds of fun things, right? So you can see my speckles. So if I wanted to do something neat. So these are all really kind of fun things that you can do just to kind of like make it cooler, I guess you could say. But I'm going to put that behind everything here. All right. So next up on our list here, now that we've gotten well and sidetracked, is that we're going to go and we're going to use our select tool. So on our select tool, I'm going to go through and I'm going to select the dog right here, right? And now I've got this box around it. So anything within here I can select and I can do Control C and then Control V. Oops, that's actually a really good thing. I was on the red one, so it selected the red layer and copied the red layer. I want to make sure that I'm on the right layer, copy, paste. And now I've got a copy of the dog here. And you notice that this copy doesn't have this special like smart layer watermark on it, right? So anything that happens to this one is only going to happen to this particular layer. So let's go ahead and let's run with that. All right, so we've got our dog and we're going to go over here and scroll down. Now I can make it a circle. I can do a single line, which is kind of fun when you want to like make like a cool like cut through kind of like that, like see how the red's bleeding through the top, it makes kind of a neat thing, right? You can do that. And this is really helpful. It's only 1 pixel. So keep that in mind when you do it. And there's a vertical version too. But let's go back to the circle. And let's say I want it to kind of have this feathery look like our sun does. I can go up to the feather box and select 20 and then draw myself a circle. If I hold down the shift key, I won't get this wonky like oval shape. I can hold down the shift key, make it large, and then move it up just a little bit so his head's in the picture. And then if I do Control Shift I, and then I hit delete, everything else goes away but that. So that's a helpful thing you can do when you're trying to like silhouette like something without necessarily getting into like masking and other things like that. Which we will get into, but that's later. All right, let's scroll down a little bit further here. If you want to go to the lasso tool, the lasso tool is kind of fun. You could select an outline like this, Or if you want to, you can use, hold down to get to these side ones. I'm clicking and I'm holding, and that's what pops out the second menu. I can do the polygon lasso, and that one is just like you think it would be. It's very like square, but this is helpful when you have a lot of selecting to do and you're just like afraid that you're going to like misclick or unclick something, and then it's going to like try to select everything inside. So that's helpful in these situations because you click, let go, click, let go, click, let go. And it's not until you get close to where you want to be and then double click that it like lets go and then actually makes the selection. Moving on to the next one, we're going to jump down to the eraser tool. We're going to skip over the clone tool real quick, and I'm going to show you what the eraser tool does. So I'm going to do, again, I'm going to inverse my selection by the Control-Shift-I. Then I can come over here and I can just delete. And again, just like the brushes, I can make my erase tool huge, and then it makes it a little easier to delete everything, right? Make that a little cleaner. Like, there you go. So that's the erase tool. If you scroll down a little bit further, let's see here, we're going to smudge tools, and if you hold down this and go to the blur tools, they do exactly what you think they would do. They move pixels around or they blur the pixels. Not really used so much in Instagram, Photoshop kind of stuff. Text tool, this one's important. We're going to say dog days of summer. All right, so you see that this is like going off the screen. It's because I've got center selected. I want it just like Word. You just hit the left align there. We're going to move it up over a little bit. And then we're going to come over to our options properties panel over here. And I can select, what do we want it to be? Something fun. Maybe open sans. That's not fun. That's boring. Yeah, see. Maybe we could do, oh, it's something unusual. Oh man, this is like, you know, like when you first like saw like graphics like back in like the 90s, that's what this reminds me of. Just kind of all over the place. All right, that's terrible, but we're gonna go on with it. But you can change your fonts over here. You can set them up. And if you are just getting started and you really just don't know what fonts you want to use, just Google good font pairs. And I would recommend starting with Google fonts, because Google has already paired a lot of their stuff. So like if you go to Google and you find like a really thick, chunky font that you like, if you scroll to the bottom of that font page, it will also tell you what goes with that font very well. So you don't even have to think about it, and then just pick two that work and run with it, you know? And then once you set up your templates anyway, you're probably going to be using the same fonts and same colors and same everything, or you should be, for all of your social media. So, you know, once you set it up, it's done anyway. All right, so that's text. I'm going to jump down here to shapes. Shapes are exactly what you think they are. Remember we talked about those smart objects? If I draw a rectangle, it's made a smart object of a rectangle over here. Now, if I go up to my move tool, excuse me, yeah, my move tool, and I hit Control T, those transforming tools come back, and I could have just selected this anyway, but if I hit an edge, I can make it grows it proportionally. If I don't want it to grow proportionally, it's kind of reverse logic here, and they didn't used to do it this way. So us old like Photoshop people are like, what are you doing, Photoshop? But now you have to hit Shift and then go up, over, however you want to do it. And let's say I want to put that behind the dog, so I'll drag the layer down. I'm trying to teach you the layers as I go through this because they're kind of in everything. And then as we scroll down here, let's see what else we got. I want to go back to my clone tool. Now, if you see the logo right here, or the video, it's showing you what it's doing. Basically, you select the spot, and then you find the spot that you want the thing to be, and then you copy it. So let's go make sure we're on the dog layer. And then what we want to do, actually, let's name it the dog layer. We'll double click it, dog. And then if I come over here to my clone tool, oh, where'd you go? Clone tool. I'm going to make sure my brush is the size that I want it to be, right? By hitting those bracket keys. Then I hit, you can also change the brush size up here by moving the slider over and up, that kind of thing. And you can decide how like fluffy you want the sides of it to be or not at all, right there. Right. And so I'm going to go select the dog. I'm going to go over here a little bit. You see like the little preview right there. And I'm going to have him over here. I'm going to draw another one right there. And that's how the clone tool works. It's that simple. And if I wanted to not have the fluffy edges, what I could do is go back, make it 100% hard, which means that it's just going to be a real stiff edge like this one. And then I could do like this. There you go. Boom. There we go. I got 3 dogs, right? Move them over just a smidge. And to move them, I literally hit the move tool, and then I held down my shift key when I was doing it so that they stayed on one line. No matter where I go with my cursor, they only stay on that one line. And it kind of helps just make things smoother. All right, so I believe that was it for the tools. Now saving. So I have my YouTube thumbnails here. This is what I want to look like, and all of it's horrible. You'd think I could like put together something like a little bit smoother. I mean, I'll go back to my other one and show you kind of how like the real life I would be doing this. But those are the tools. That's how the tools work. If I wanted to save it out, I would go to File and I would go to Save. Oh, see, I know the keyboard shortcuts for this. You can do Save a Copy. And then it's got client work on this one. It would come up with a screen and I could just save that I want it to be a JPEG and it would save it out. But if you do save as, it's going to do a save like as a Photoshop file. We want to export it. That's what we want to do. All right. Our brain's working here. File, export as a PNG. All of those platforms will accept PNGs as long as they're the right size dimensions. And it's a PNG, a JPEG. I kind of think that's it. I don't think they accept GIF. And export, it will work just fine. And export as PNG is kind of great because PNG is kind of smaller anyway, usually. And then you decide where you want to be and you save it out. What I've been using, and I'm trying to find the keyboard. There we go. This is it. All right, export, save for web, legacy. Legacy meaning that they're going to get rid of it eventually. But this is the way that I saved web resolution documents all the time. And then this is very, very useful if you are, again, saving for your own website and not like something that's going to upload, it's going to compress it anyway. But it's nice because you can see like how the quality of everything. So this is quality 30 and it still looks decent. You can start to see some of the pixelation up here in the text. But like, let me give you an example. Let me drop down to like 10. See how the quality changes. It gets really, let me make it really bad. Can I do like 4 or something? See, it's still kind of grainy, but you can see like all the pixelization starting in the nose and everything like that. And you can see the file size down here is 52K, right? At 4% quality. But if I go to 100, you see it jumps up to 794, significantly larger. That's what I'm saying is that when your file size is on a web, you want it to be as small as possible. That still looks good because people are waiting on that to download and it determines how quickly your site speed is, that kind of thing. So if you have a bunch of images, just make them really small and then you won't have these problems. And then you would just save it out and then just normal save prompt, save it to where you need it to be. And that's that. But now let's say I want to change it to another size. So let's pop back to my professional one. Go over here. You watched me early on change it for like changing it to a different size. So what I can do for here, bring my face down, is this image right here. This is, let me just double click on this so you can see. When we're talking about smart objects, it's going to yell at me real quick. Yes, that's fine. We're talking about smart objects. This is what happens with a smart object. If I double clicked on it, it opens up a new window with the original image in it. If I made any changes to this original image, it would then populate to anywhere else that linked to this spot, right? So like if you got to make like a massive change to a whole bunch of documents, that's how one way that you could accomplish it. Let's just go ahead and make a change here. We'll make it pink. Oh, sorry, Control U brings up this hue saturation and it allows me to colorize it and change the colors. We'll make it a pretty pink. And then we will close. It's going to ask me if I want to save it. It's going to ask me the quality that I want to save it. Sorry, on the other monitor. And now when I close it, ta-da, it's changed the background of my thing, right? Now I have my font set to Roboto Black. And then I have this font set to 109. I can change the size of it by clicking and dragging. I clicked on that T right there and I'm just dragging left and right. If I had anything selected, it would actually change the size of it. So let me select it and I'll shrink it, show you what I mean. What it does is it changes the size of the font, but it doesn't change what's called the line spacing, which is the space between one line to the next. So one of the ways you can do that is come over here to the properties panel and do the same thing and shrink it up. All right. Now, this is my quotes. This is my quotes template. So I find things that like I want to talk about, or if I'm trying to give people a call to action, in this case, it's, get my free guide on setting up a proper call to action, link in the bio. So it's a very simple, like really quick read, like one sentence thing. And I highly recommend that for things like Instagram. Things that are very easy to digest or tend to do the best. Carousels are great, but even on carousels, on the Instagram carousels, you still use the same size, this 1080 by 1080, but you create multiple images. Just make sure that there's very little text on each one of those images when you go through and make them, because again, it's just keeping user retention is kind of hard. But if I want to make changes, I just go to hit T, I click on the type tool. I go through and I select and I make my changes. Okay. And then I click off of it. And now I've made my text changes, and then I could just do my Control Shift Alt S, or the file save for web. And what it does is it'll bring this up, and then I can save it out again. So that's why what I was saying is, like, once you get your template set up, once you have kind of like your look, the way you set it up, the way you like it, it's really just a matter of changing out images and changing out your text and saving it. And it's a lot faster. And see, I can hit Control Z to back up, even undoing that change I made to the original image there. So, and that's edit, undo, Control Z, this guy right here. You're, again, getting those keyboard shortcuts is going to make your Photoshop life so much faster. And I will say, do you need Photoshop to do Instagram or YouTube thumbnails? Absolutely not. You don't. It is much faster, and I feel like you get a more refined product than you do if you use Canva. Although I will tell you that I find using Canva on my laptop while I'm trying to knock out Instagram images, while I'm watching TV at night, like just relaxing, a lot easier than trying to do other things. I mean, Canva is great, but it's different. They're just different. And if you're trying to take up the refinement and the quality of your work a little bit, Photoshop's a great way to go. You can get the subscription just for Photoshop. You don't have to get like all the Adobe suite stuff that I have, which is like $53 a month. You can get Photoshop, I think, for like $10 a month, and I'll put the link in the bio for it. But that is exactly what it is. It's just a easier way to set things up that looks a little bit more refined if you can just learn a few small things to kind of get going. Now, Photoshop is one of those tools that's like, there's a million ways to do one thing. There really is. You can accomplish the same look in 20 different ways to get there. So it's a matter of just kind of finding what basic thing works for you and going forward with it. And YouTube University, man, is like your best bet when you're trying to learn something. Like, I want to make my text go in an arch. I want to make my text have a drop shadow. I want to, like, how do I do those things? Like, when you're thinking about those specific things, YouTube is like the best tool out there. Like, I wouldn't even say go to blog posts anymore. YouTube just makes it simpler because you can see it happening, right? And you can learn it in seconds. So why not, right? So I think that that's it. The only other thing I want to show you is this color palette over here. You'll see that there's colors, there's swatches, there's gradients, all the different ones you can choose. Like, let's choose a blue. Well, that's a pretty blue. So you can set it to the text. Whatever you selected, when you select a color swatch, it's going to apply that color swatch. So that's why I did it there. I can choose different ones. Let's go back to basics. What's in basics? Also, once you get to be like professional level, you tend not to use things. You create like a library of your own things, and then those are the things that you use. So trying to go back here, that's why if I look like I'm stumbling around a bit, it's because I've just learned where things are. All right, patterns. Ooh, trees. Let me get trees. Oh, it's not applying. Why isn't it applying? Oh, maybe because I've got these on. Nope. I don't know, but they're there. So there's a whole bunch of different ones you can choose from. And the swatches, again, once you get yours set up, you'll kind of just stick with yours and you won't go to other ones. It's just the nature of the beast, but learn those few things, learn how to move things around, set things up. you got your dimensions. So set yourself up a canvas with the dimensions that you want. Like I said, it does really help having these in here, because when you got this set up and now let's say I'm ready to change my canvas size. I'm sorry, control, it's up here. Image canvas, excuse me, image canvas size is how I got to the screen. I'm going to go to pixels, and then I'm going to change my canvas size to 1080. We'll do the one we did before, 1920. All right, and now I can kind of move my elements around a little bit so I can get like where's our dog? Let's grab our dog picture. Okay, so what I did from that one is I went to the one I was working on. I selected the one I wanted to work with. I literally dragged the file to the file that I wanted to work on, and I dropped it. So let's say like for the stories, I want the dog at the bottom, but then on the one I had before, let me get back to the other size. On the other one I had before, I wanted the dog at the top. There you go. So you see what I mean? Like, and now that if I want to change it, pixels, oh man, it skipped right over pixels, didn't it? 1920. And now I want to move the dog to the top. And then in my stories, it will look like it's at the top. So, and then I just save this one out, and then I post one to my stories and I post one to my posts. So this is how I kind of get around in Photoshop. That's how I do it. And it is a little scatterbrained until you get in there. Once you get in there and you've set up your look, the way you want things to be. And frankly, if you don't want to come up with how to do it, there are literally thousands and thousands and thousands of these things pre-made, Photoshop templates that are pre-made. You can get them on Etsy, you can get them on Creative Marketplace, you can get them, just Google, you know, Photoshop, Instagram templates, find one you like, buy it for a few bucks. I mean, really are just like a few bucks, like $7 or less. You know, they're really usually not very expensive unless you're getting a million of them. And usually you don't need a million of them, you need one. So get like something you like, and then just use that and then manipulate that the way you want it to be. You know, you don't have to come up with something from scratch here. The whole point of using Photoshop is just to make it easier on yourself to be able to maybe refine the way you want things to look. Now, one thing I just realized I did not show you was using a mask. So let's do that real quick. I've got my dog selected. I'm going to go down here. I'm going to select mask. I'm going to make sure that this little, what's right now a white box is highlighted. I'm going to go ahead and grab my brush tool, Control B. I'm going to change my brush back to a regular one. I'm going to make it hard and we're going to make it, there we go. All right. And then if I select and draw, it's almost like I'm using the eraser tool and I'm making kind of like a bubble thing right there, right? And that's me putting a mask on there. So you see that the mask is this black part that's outlined right here. If I were to remove the mask by clicking and dragging it to the trash, it would go away and the image that's underneath would still be there. So that's how you use masks. If you like are trying to like get a silhouette, like let's say you have a white photo. Let me grab that picture of the girl here. Hang on. Grab the picture of the girl, go back, dump it in. Oop. It's yelling at me. Hold on. All right, let's see. I want to go to select subject, and it should select her. Just thinking about it. There we go. Photoshop is very, very smart now. So if I was going to select and I say select subject, it's going to go ahead and select the dog, the girl, whatever's in the picture, and get rid of the background. And this can work even if the background isn't like smooth like this one is. If the background's really busy, it doesn't work great, but it works. And then I can just go ahead. So she is selected. So now I can just go down and hit the mask and it will automatically get rid of the background. And there you go, right? So if you've got a picture of yourself where you want to put it into your Instagram stories, this is a really easy way to get rid of that background. You import the image just by dragging onto your desktop here, and then select subject, mask it. That's all you got to do. All right, guys, I think that's going to be it for now. This went a little longer than I anticipated, but if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. I'm going to try to do some more of these like little quick tutorials, like kind of like real life, like how you go through and set things up and do things for like social media or for clients, that kind of thing. So if you've got questions like that, leave that down below and I'll try to do better later. If you can visit me over on Instagram, follow me over there. It's just Wendy_literal. I'll put the link in the description. And yeah, that's it, guys. Take care. I'll see you next one. Bye.